Attention Brent community residents, this is a community notification of a new sexually violent predator in your area. Please stay tuned for the following short program for more information. The Sex Offender Registration Compliance Unit at BPD is responsible for the registration, monitoring, and tracking of all sex offenders and sexually violent predators who live in the city of Brighton. There are currently over 19,000 registered sex offenders in the state of Colorado. 122 of those live in the city of Brighton. There are 203 offenders in Colorado that have been evaluated and classified as sexually violent predators, one living in Brighton. Here's a brief history of sex offender registration in Colorado. Our state law trickles down from federal government mandates. In 1994, the Jacob Wetterling Act mandated that states would establish a sex offender list. In 1996, Megan's Law said that the public would have access to those sex offender registration lists. In 1996, the Pam Lyncher Act stated that some offenders might have to have lifetime registrations. And in 2006, the Adam Walsh Act unified sex offender laws across the country. In Colorado, the legislation has determined that sexually violent predators, by definition, pose a higher risk to the community at large, and therefore mandate that upon their release from the Department of Corrections, the community must be notified. Sex offender notifications in Colorado happen in two ways. The first is passive and ongoing through the sex offender registration process, which is a list maintained by the local police department. The second way is active via community notifications for offenders determined to be sexually violent predators by the courts or by the parole board. The community has a vested interest in helping offenders be successfully managed in the community. Sex offenders have the same need for housing and employment as other citizens. Any citizen who uses sex offender information to harass, threaten, or intimidate any offender will be subject to criminal prosecution. A sexually violent predator must register with the Brighton Police Department Sex Offender Registration Unit every 3 months for the rest of their life. The offender's residence must be verified every 3 months by the BPD Sex Offender Registration Unit. Here's a look at the sexually violent predator living in Brighton. Howard James Fitzgerald Smith is a sexually violent predator currently living in Brighton. He's 52 years old and was born on January 14, 1969. He's a white male, 5'11", 170 pounds, with hazel eyes, and is bald. He is currently living at 440 North 5th Avenue. A brief history of charges against this offender: sexual assault on a child, pattern of abuse, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. He is currently on probation and registered with the Brighton Police Department on April 30th, 2021. Howard James Fitzgerald Smith has been determined to be a sexually violent predator after meeting all 4 criteria. Criteria number 1, age 18 or older at the date of the offense, or under 18 and tried as an adult. The offender was 35 at the time of his offense. Criteria number 2, the crime must have been committed on or after July 1st, 1997 and convicted on or after July 1st, 1999. The crimes were committed in 2004. Criteria number 3, the crime of conviction must be one or more of the following, including attempts, solicitation, and conspiracies: sex assault, felony unlawful sexual contact, sex assault on a child, and sex assault on a child position of trust. The crime was sex assault on a child, pattern of abuse. Criteria number 4, the relation to the victim must have been one of the following: victim was a stranger to the offender, or the offender established or promoted a relationship with the victim primarily for the purpose of sexual victimization. One victim was known to the offender, and one victim was a stranger. Positive results of the passing of a risk assessment instrument administered by probation or parole staff and a qualified treatment evaluator. Positive results include an assessment for the presence of a mental abnormality, a level of denial regarding the offense, treatment appropriateness and motivation, presence of sexual deviant interest. The offender was evaluated by Jefferson County with positive results, determining him to be a sexually violent predator. For more information, please reach out to the appropriate additional resources.